Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do a year-end review of my daughter's first grade curriculum. She mostly used BJU Press, which is also known as Bob Jones University, for 2024 to 2025 school year. This may be a lengthy video, so I'll divide it up into chapters so you can skip ahead if you would like, and let's get started. So every day we would start out with handwriting because this is what got her to the table, because anything that involved her using her hands, she was all about. Also because she could do this independently pretty much halfway through the school year. I would just have it laying out for her to go ahead and start while I was doing breakfast or whatever. So this is a teacher's guide. I just wanted to show you what is at the very beginning of it in case you're not planning on purchasing the teacher's guide. At least you'll know what is recommended, how they recommend to teach your child, and you can pause this and zoom in if you would like. Here is where it starts with lesson 1, and this is how they recommend that you teach the work text page. So they say sing the phonics song for this letter. We might have did that the first couple of months, and then they start just showing you how to write the words, and they have sentences and paragraphs, and they're no longer just focusing on a single letter. So we didn't do that past the first couple of months. They recommend that you teach them how to write the letter first. I did this on a dry erase board. I would write it, have her write it, and then they said to air trace it, and so we would trace the letters in the air, and she would just do what I did, and then we would move on to the work text page. Also, I wanted to point out that they had a section here that says extended practice pages, and that is the back of the work text sheet that you pull off for that day. You'll do the front of the sheet together, and then the back is just for extra practice. And I had her do the back of the work text page the first couple of months, and then after that I just had her read the words to me or the letters to me, and then I'd have her exit out and we would move on. So she would just do that front side of the work text sheet. So here's a little bit of what the teacher's guide looks like inside, and then at the very back it has the phonics song and the time to write songs that the teacher's guide was talking about. So if you didn't do kindergarten video lessons, then you probably aren't familiar with these phonics songs. And I've noticed a lot of people asking about them in Facebook groups. So I was gonna quickly tell y'all how to sing these songs. These are the words for the letters, and then you would just replace them for each of these letters, but keep the same tune for each one of them. So this is going to be embarrassing, but here's how it goes. This is for A. Hear the A sound in the A words. A an apple and an ant. A an antlers and an backpack. All of these words have an A. And then under that they do this song for B. So it goes, hear the book sound in the B words, book and Bible and in bat, book and bubbles and in basket. All of these words have a B. And you would just replace these words with these words for each one of these letters. Also, the time to write jingle, I'm going to try to remember how to sing the song. So it goes, sit up straight and slant your paper, thumbkin and pointer, hold the pencil right. Tom and help them as you're able. Lazy men, watch, it's time to write. So that's how you sing that song. Here's the work textbook. And obviously we've used it a lot because we have completed first grade, but here are which letters are covered per lesson. Here's a letter to the parents if you want to read that. And I'm going to show you some of the early pages. Or some of the early lessons. Okay, so this is lesson 1. I just covered up where she had written her name, and it just goes over T, and you can see on the very back where it just has additional review if you feel like your child needs that. So these first lessons are pretty simple. They're just going over single letters. I wanted to show y'all that the first half of the work textbook has them showing where the letters are to be placed on these lines, and then they just copy it down below. See, they have where they go on the lines, they copy it down below. Well, about halfway through the book, they stop showing them where the letters go on the lines, and they're just having them copy the word on the lines below. My daughter was not ready for the letter placement independently yet at that point. So I ended up writing the lines in for her to show her, and I did a sloppy job because I was in a hurry, but I was just trying to show her where the letters are supposed to go on the lines so that would hopefully help her with her letter placement. Whether it helps or not, I'm not sure, but you might keep that in mind, that if your child does not know letter placement or is not as good with letter placement at that point halfway through the curriculum, then you'll probably want to go ahead and draw the lines in for them. Okay, and back to the work textbook. I was just going to show you what the very last lessons look like because we did not finish this curriculum. So this is lesson 160. This is lesson 161. 163. This is the lesson, the front page. This is the back page. And I'm guessing there is a total of 165 lessons in this handwriting course. Now, would I use this handwriting curriculum again? Yes, I really enjoyed that the words went along with what she was learning in the phonics and reading classes as well. This next year, however, I am going to combine it with a reason for handwriting curriculum just because their words are on the line for them to show them where the letter placement is supposed to go. So I'm still going to use BJU Press, but I will be combining it with another curriculum to make sure that her letter placement is where it's supposed to be. Really quick, I forgot to show y'all these little pencil grips. At the beginning of the school year, she was still having trouble with holding her pencil correctly. So I got these little guys from Walmart, and all you do is they put their little pointer finger in the hole, and their thumb goes right here where that indentation is, and then their pointer finger goes right here where the striped indentation is. And it taught her how to hold her pencil correctly. So I'll link these in the description below if you're interested in buying these for your child. She only needed them for probably the first couple of weeks. Okay, so the next course that we would do is math. And this is the only course that we did video lessons online for. So I do not have a teacher's guide for this course, but I will show you what the work textbook looks like. It's mostly used since my daughter's already finished this. But this is the letter to parents if you want to pause and read this. This just shows you what all is going to be taught and the order it's going to be taught in if you want to read over that. Here is some more of the lessons and what's going to be taught. And these are the 2 characters for this work textbook, which is the 3rd edition. This is Digit, and her name is Cecilia. That's her name, Cecilia. So let me show you what the very first lessons look like. This is lesson number 1. It's just reviewing the numbers 0 through 10 again, kind of what they were reviewing back in kindergarten. So it's pretty simple stuff here in the beginning. And let me show you what the very last lessons look like. We finished most of the math for first grade, but there are still some pages that we weren't able to get to, but we did most of it. I would say we did about 95% of the curriculum. So here's what it looks like at the very end. They're counting money. They review three-dimensional shapes, time. They review the calendar, days of the week, months of the year. And here is three-digit addition. And they're doing two-digit subtraction. And so let me show you what the video lesson guide looks like that you'll get if you're doing the videos. This is what the video lesson guides look like, and they go by days. This starts on day 61 because what I would do is when we're done with one of these, it has the first week on this, it has 1 week on this side, another week on the back, and when I was completely done, I would just rip it out and throw it away. It tells you what day, it tells you which video to watch, and it tells you how long the video is, what manipulatives you'll need to pull, if there's an extra review sheet you need to pull, which is called the handouts, if you need any extra materials like a dry erase board was needed in this video, and then what text pages that will be completed for each day. I used this for the first month, I think, and then I just went straight to using the Homeschool Hub. I love the Homeschool Hub because I can rearrange our schedule. If I want to skip a day, I can skip it. If I want, oh, and I also wanted to mention that I did not do any test for math. I would have her do the review. If she did good with it, then we just moved on. So if you are doing video lessons online, you definitely want to check out that Homeschool Hub because it'll make your life so much easier. But these are what the guides look like if you choose to use those. And I wanted to show y'all the manipulatives that go with BJU Press first grade. So this is the clock and this is the character digit. You still have your counting cubes that you used in kindergarten if you did BJU Press in kindergarten. If not, go ahead and purchase these because you do use them still when they're teaching these lessons. Here's a little centimeter ruler. I have another ruler somewhere, but I couldn't find it. So here's some shapes when they're reviewing shapes. Some little clowns to help them with addition and subtraction problems. They have seals they can count. This is the fraction manipulatives. Numbers to use. The little candies to count. Cars. More shapes. And some money. I usually used real money though for this because she's going to be using real money in the real world anyway, so I'd rather get her familiar with the real coins and real dollars, but this is here also. And I just wanted to point out that I kept all of these separated into little sandwich bags, and then I would simply put all of these into a large gallon Ziploc bag, and that is how I stored all of her manipulatives. This would just go on top of her homeschool rolling cart to keep everything organized. Now, when you first start the course, they will have you make a math folder. So the kids colored this, cut, pasted on the front of the folder, and then they have a little box. I can't remember what this box is called, but it's their math box, and they color this, cut it out, and glue it on the top. We got this cute little box from the dollar store. So every day, it'll tell you what to put in the math box. So it's usually some type of a manipulative that you're going to be using for the lesson, and then in the folder, it will tell you what extra handout needs to be placed in here, what word text page is going to be used for the day, and so I would just keep everything in here. Oh, and also these go with the manipulative packet also. So these are just little map that you use for the lessons as well. And I would just keep these in the folder. I would keep our hundredths chart in the folder, anything extra that I felt like we used a lot of. Also, here are the ones, tens, and hundreds manipulatives. I kept them in the folder as well, and she would just pull these out as the teacher asked for them, so everything was right there waiting for her to get started on her lesson. You'll also get a packet of extra handouts that they will do in addition to the work text page. And this is just extra practice. We didn't always do these, but if there was something that I felt like she needed extra practice on, we would always do this towards I think 2 months into math. I would always pull one of these out when it told us to for extra practice on addition and subtraction, which I think is really important at this age. But they had little activities for them to do and games to play to help them remember what was being taught in the lesson. So there's that. And one more thing I wanted to point out really quick is on the work text page, their goal is for you to do the front page of the work text with the child and then them do the back by themselves independently. However, at this age, they're not always reading independently, so you'll still have to help them with the word problems. The teacher does do this with the child during the video. However, what we would do is we would watch the video up until it's time to do the work text sheet, and then I would stop it and we would do the work text sheet together because she didn't like to watch the video all the way through. Now, do I think that the video lessons are necessary at this grade? No, I don't. And I think that doing parent-led would have probably been a quicker, easier option. Even though I love the videos, she's not crazy about them. She just wants to do the lesson and get done. I have heard other mothers say that the teacher's guide is not really necessary for this age. So if you're on a tight budget, I could see where you could just buy the work text, read the instructions at the top. If they're not understanding it, teach them with something you have around the house, maybe manipulatives, maybe a dry erase board, and have them do the worksheet and then move on. So that's definitely a way to cut down on costs. Would I use this curriculum again? Absolutely. We are going to use it for second grade. I'm not doing the videos next year though. I will only be doing the work text book, and then I do have a teacher's guide just in case I need it, but I may not even end up using it. These are the little stick characters that you use in BJU Press first grade math. This is Digit, this is Cecilia. They're kind of like the course mascots, and they'll use them every now and then to, well, actually a lot. Most of the course, they'll be using these characters to help them with their addition and subtraction problems. And when they do word families, a lot of times they'll use these characters in there as well. So they help make the math course a lot more fun. Moving on to spelling. This is the teacher's edition. I wanted to show y'all what's inside of it so you can see in what order they cover sounds and spelling rules. Also, if you think that the teacher's guide is beneficial to you and your child or not. So this is telling you just how to use the teacher's guide, any extra material that you may need, which with spelling, everything's included, so don't worry about having to buy something extra. This is the weekly routine that they recommend. We only do school 4 days a week, so we would cut out this 4th day. We didn't do the Bible truths because she already had a Bible curriculum that we were doing together. So for day 1, it says do a pre-test, but we did not do that. We just started with the first worksheet that reviewed the words to kind of get us familiar with them. The next day we would do another worksheet. Day 3 was when we would do a practice test. And then on day 4, which was actually this 5 because we skipped 4, was our final test. Okay, so here's the first list, and this is what the worksheet looks like. There's a back side to it, and it just shows you how to get the pre-test, what they give you examples of sentences you can use for that particular spelling word to have them write it. They have in here some activities and games you can play to help them get familiar with the words. Here is list number 2, list number 3, and again, you review the list all throughout the week. Okay, now in the very back of this teacher's guide, I wanted to show you everything that they'll probably end up using. And so here's a little dictionary for their spelling words. And don't worry, this is also in their work textbook. So if you are just getting the teacher's guide for this, you don't need it because it is in the work textbook already. Okay, skipping ahead, here's the appendix of everything that's in the back of this book. You have your Bible truths, Bible promises, and all the activities and games. These 2 pages are pretty important. This is the pre-test page, and this right here is the practiced test page. And then right here is your final test page. And they only have 1 hard copy. So what you do is go ahead and make copies of these for each list. There's a total of 30 lists for the whole year. I also wanted to point out that there's extra review sheets in the very back of the book. So keep in mind that these are back here. Also, they have the final test back here at the end of the book. So it just gives you some sentences that you can use to help with the spelling test. And right here is any activities and games that you'd like to play to help your student learn those words better. And the very, very back here are some writing pages. You can write some sentences. You can write lists, paragraphs. They even have some journal entries back here. But we didn't do that because we were already doing handwriting and I felt like that was enough. So there is a lot of helpful information in this teacher's guide. If you don't want to purchase it though, you can absolutely just use the work text because the dictionary is in the back of it. Do you need to have the test pages in the back of the teacher's guide? No. Most of the time, I didn't even use them. I would just use a spiral down notebook and pull a sheet out each time she took a practice test or the final test, and she would just write them down on the notebook paper. So you absolutely do not need the teacher's guide for this. Let me show you what the first lesson looks like and what the last lesson looks like. Here is what the list 1 looks like. So she just did this worksheet. This was her spelling test. This was some extra practice for list number 1. I think they're out of order a little bit, but that's okay. Here's list number 2. Here's some extra practice we did with list number 2. Extra practice here. And then she took her test. Now, we only did the first 10 lists before I noticed it was beginning to be too much for her during the day because the Phonics and English book, that course took up most of our day. I would say it took up over an hour of our day. So I did end up cutting certain things out and spelling ended up being one of them. Also, I could tell that she just wasn't ready for it yet. In our public school, they don't start spelling till 2nd grade anyway, so I wasn't too concerned about that. I was more concerned on her getting phonics down and improving her reading skills. So this is list 28, list 29, and then this is the final list, list 30. So would I recommend the spelling course? Absolutely. I did feel like it was a little too much for kids that are still a little behind with phonics and reading. I think that should probably be their focus for 1st grade. However, if your kid is more advanced, then spelling would definitely be an extra challenge for them. Normally, we would take a break at this point and maybe eat lunch or a snack, or it depends on where we're at during the day. But then we would start on phonics and English. So this is the Teacher's Edition Part 1. Here are the contents of this Teacher's Edition. What I wanted to show y'all here is that the Phonics 1 charts, which includes the word family cards, and then the English charts, which show you some more phonics, some blends, and sentence structures. They'll eventually show them how to structure chart for how to write a paragraph. All of these, as far as my Phonics and English kit went, these are not included. So be sure and look through your kit when you're purchasing it and make sure that the phonics charts and the English charts are included. Otherwise, you'll have to purchase them separately. I'll try to remember to link those down in the description of this video because you will definitely need these. I referenced back to them all year long. We went over the word family cards every day. I didn't really stick to what the teacher's guide told me to do. I would just do 10 of them and then put those in the back of the pile, do 10 more the next day. That way we were rotating through them nonstop throughout the year. And then these English charts were awesome references when we were learning something new or reviewing them. If it was something that she didn't quite understand, I would keep the chart out and we would review it over and over again until she was familiar with it. This is just teaching you how to use this teacher's guide. As far as if you need the teacher's guide or not for this course, this is the teacher's guide that I used the most. I would definitely recommend getting the teacher's guide for this course. Here's a suggested daily schedule if you want to look at that and kind of get some ideas. I didn't go by that, but it was really resourceful to helping me figure out how much time I needed to be spending for each subject. And here starts lesson 1. So this is lesson 1 of unit 1. It gives you a little introduction, and then the lesson always starts off with some type of an introduction. It might be a Bible story, it may be a phonics story, it might be a story about penguins. Sometimes I would skip it, sometimes I wouldn't. These teacher's guides, especially this one, is a little overwhelming to look at. I heard this year they're coming out with condensed version of teacher's guides that are perfect for homeschool moms. After you read the introduction, it's going to tell you what you need. So these are the English charts that you need to pull for that day. Here's some words the student will be working on. Here's a phonics chart that you need to pull. These blue words are what you read, and then these pink words are the response that is expected from the child. These are just some activities that you can do with your child. They're mostly set up for a classroom, so you may need to just customize them for however you intend to use them. Here's going over the work text page. I never read this. I just went over the page with my daughter. Okay, here's lesson 2. So it tells you what charts you need, what words you're going to be going over. And it goes over word families, and we would just go over the word families every day. 10 a day is about how many we would go over. And I'm going to show you what the word families cards look like and how we used them. So I would keep them in this little box. I can't remember. I think they did come in this box. So I just kept the box, kept them in there. And then I would pick out 10 of these word family cards to review. And what we did last year was I would show her word family card. She would run and jump on the bed and splash on the bed, say the word, and run back. Because in kindergarten, this was called splash. They made it into a game where they would splash on top of the lily pads that had the words on it. And they'd splash in the water. So that's how we did it. I would show the card, she would run and splash on the bed, say the card, and come back, and she would do that 10 times. This was also a good way to get all of her extra energy out of her before we sat down and finished the lesson. Here are some songs that you can sing. They have the alphabet song, the phonics song, which I sang for you back when I was going over spelling. And they have a vowel song, so you can sing these songs if you would like. My daughter was really into them last year for kindergarten, but this year, not so much. Oh shoot, I think I called these word families. These are high frequency words. These are what we called splash words back in kindergarten. They are the rule breakers, the high frequency words. Sorry, these are not the word families. So word families are words with similar endings. And if we were going over those, I would just write them out on a dry erase board, have her read them. Also, when they're doing these word building, these letters are in the very back of this teacher's guide. Here's the letter blocks or rectangles. Okay, so you would just either pull these out of the teacher's guide, which I don't recommend because you'll need multiple vowel cards. And so you would just make copies of them. I did do this. I put them on cardstock. I cut them out. I had them and we tried to do the word building with them. However, it did not work. I never had the correct amount. I was constantly searching for the correct letter cards. So I just started doing word building on a dry erase board. And if there were certain blends or sounds that she was supposed to put in front of this word family, then I might put her choices at the very top for her to choose from. So that is how we did this word family review. We did not use the letter cards. And then at the end, you do the back of the work text page. The further you get into the year, you will start having an English part of the lesson. Let me see. So here's like a short story you'll read and then answer the questions. So it's quite a bit of those. And then say here's the English part. So the first part of this lesson was focusing on phonics, word families, high frequency words, and then we get into the English part. And this is where I would break it up with our splash game, which was a high frequency word game, to kind of burn off some energy, to sit down for the English part because she was not as crazy about this. I think it was harder for her to understand. So it was like right here, they're reviewing nouns. They'll review pronouns under the English part, sentence structure, and eventually they'll be writing paragraphs with your help, of course. And then at the end, they do the work text page. We wanted to show you some resources they have towards the end of the book. So here's your alphabet song. I have forgotten how to sing this. My daughter may remember, but we just did the regular alphabet song that they do in school. And over here is the phonics song. I sang this for y'all in the spelling review, but I'm going to do it again just in case you skipped ahead to this course. This is just going over the individual letters, and then the next phonics song will go over the blends. So this song goes, hear the A sound in the A words, an apple and an ant, and antlers and a backpack. All of these words have an A. And then you'll do the B, and then C, D, E, F, and you'll just replace these words with these words. And then the phonics song 2 is going over blends and long vowel sounds. So the way you sing the song is, listen, listen to the sh sound, sh in shadow and in fish, sh in shovel and in shoestrings. All of these words have the sh. And then this one is ch. This verse is and then you just go down and do the blends and the long vowel sounds. This is the vowel song, and the way you sing this, it has 2 verses, is vowels, vowels, A-E-I-O-U. They make up words and help us learn to read vowels, A-E-I-O-U. And the second verse is vowels, vowels, A-E-I-O-U, and sometimes Y and sometimes W, vowels, A-E-I-O-U. So that's how you sing that one. Okay, and then these are the alphabet cutouts that you can do to build the words. Like I said, I just use a dry erase board. And then back here, we have, they're called instructional aids. That's what they'll be called in your teacher's guide. But they're ways to focus on certain phonics rules, reading rules. They will have activities in here. Like here is a game of marbles. We didn't play that. We didn't always do this. I would look ahead and see if it was something that I felt like she really needed the extra review with, and then we would do this. But most of the time, I would skip over this. Now, when we get to like sentence structure or writing a paragraph, I definitely did this. So I would go upstairs and I'd make a copy, print it out. And this is such an awesome way to teach them how to write a paragraph. So they write their topic sentence, and then they have 2 detailed sentences, and then towards the end of the course, they are having 3 detailed sentences and then a closing sentence. So they're writing a whole paragraph towards the end. So you'll definitely want to copy these pages, or I guess if you didn't want to pass these teacher's guides along, you could just rip them out and use them. Here is the teacher's edition, part 2. Everything in the front is basically the same as part 1. So you read the blue, they say the pink, and then here's your phonics and English charts that you'll be pulling out. So that's why I was saying it's really important to have those. We went over the hard C sound and the soft C sound over and over again, also with G. So these charts were so helpful. So you'll definitely want to buy those. And towards the end of this book, you have more resources. So you have your alphabet song. We never sang the cowboy song. I didn't know how to do that. Right here they have the God made 7 days in a week song. God made 7 days in a week, days in a week, days in a week. God made 7 days in a week. Can you name them? Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday makes 7. Okay, so that is, oh, and they made it helpful. They put, this is the tune to London Bridge is Falling Down. So there's that. We already did the phonics song part 2, and then there are 12 months song. So the way you sing this one is, there are 12 months in a year, months in a year, months in a year. There are 12 months in a year. Can you name them? January, February, March, and April, May, June, July, and August, September, October, November, December, when Christ was born. And that's kind of missing a beat there, which bothers me. So I would always say, when our Christ was born, because that just bothered me a little bit. But anyway, so my daughter actually learned all 12 months of the year off this song and the days of the week song. So those are really helpful. There's the vowel song again. We already did that. I don't know what this 2 miles to go song is. We never did that. Here are the letter cards again. And here are some more activities. Again, here's your writing a paragraph planning charts, which you'll want. Here's some extra review. This is going over pronouns. I did print these out because I felt like she did need the extra help with the nouns, pronouns. Here's writing a paragraph again, some more activities that you can do. Again, you don't have to do these. This is just like if you can tell they're having a hard time, they need a little extra review with something, then go ahead and copy these and have them do it. Here is the work textbook. This is what it looks like. We have completed this course, so there's really not much left in here. We didn't completely finish it. I think we got to about 90% of it completed. It does have the perforated spines, so everything rips out of here pretty easily. This is the activities book, and I didn't realize it, but this is just for review. So you don't have to buy the activities book if your child's really strong in phonics, but my daughter needed the extra help. There were some days where I felt like she was getting it, so we did not do the activity sheets, but most of the time I did have her do both sheets. So she did front and back of the work text sheet, and then she did front and back of the activity sheet, unless it was completely there is a part on the activity sheet that is completely duplicating what is on the work text sheet, and I'd have her cross that part out and just do the back side of it. So here's the beginning of the work text. So this is lesson 1. They start off pretty easy. They're doing the t sound here. Then they start out with all the short vowel sounds, similar to how they did in kindergarten. And it's all just phonics review, and then when you get to the end, let me show you what that looks like. Oh, and I didn't know this, but there's also the letter blocks in the very back of the work textbook, which I would recommend using instead of the teacher's guide. I did not even know these were there. So they're back here. So you could just cut these out if you want to do word building with the letter blocks and not go to all the trouble I did of printing them out on cardstock and cutting them out. So they're back here. Didn't even know that. Okay, so this course has 180 lessons, and this is what lesson 77 looks like. You can see that they are reading some pretty challenging words, I would say, for first grade. They're doing some writing practice here. Okay, so that is what the last lessons look like. I wish I could just kind of show you the whole thing, but that would take forever. Now, towards, I would say the first month into this course, you'll start seeing on the teacher's guide, they're talking about pulling out a phonics book. And this is what they look like. They're pretty simple, but they go along with what they are learning for that week. And I love these little books because my daughter loved to color them. They are not included in the kit, however. You have to go to the homeschool hub there under the resources for that course. And I downloaded the PDF. I took it to Staples and had it printed out on cardstock. And I'm thinking it cost me $25. I'm not sure though, because it seems like I spent a lot on it, but it might have been $25. It might have been more. I don't remember, but there were quite a bit of these. I'm skipping ahead a little here because we haven't gone over reading yet, but the reading became a little too challenging for her. So I ended up just using these little phonics books because I think the readers are a little too wordy, but this was a perfect review for her for the level that she was at. She was a really young first grader. And let me show you what the last book looks like to give you an idea of if these get advanced or not. Actually, the last book is still in my rolling cart. So I can't show you the last book, but this is what lesson 32 looks like. So the words do get more advanced and they stay right along with the lesson they're learning about. The back is just some word family review. My daughter always wrote her name on the back when she completed these. So these are the phonics books that they're talking about. These are the little phonics characters that they include in the BJU Press phonics courses. We started using these in Focus on Fives, which is their kindergarten course. And these are actually the same kindergarten characters that she used. We didn't change them this year. However, they did have the cutouts to make new ones for this year. These obviously are new because this was not included in the kindergarten course. So we have these characters make up the long vowel sound. Bossy R changes the sound of the vowel before an R. And then this is a short family for the short vowel sound. I have them a little out of order. There you go. And then these are the new sounds that they learned. These are suffixes. They come at the end of the word. And they have cute little stories that go along with them. I'll tell you one really quick. Like if the word was bat. So we had the short vowel A went under Miss Short. And then we had the T under Mr. Short. Well, he's allergic to alley cat ing. He's allergic to cats. So Uncle Short has to come stand in between them. And so we add an extra T when we make the word batting. So that was a cute way to help them understand that we needed two consonants between the vowel and the suffix ing to keep this vowel short. One thing I wanted to add was, I had already said this, but my daughter was a young first grader. She didn't even turn 7 until the summer after she completed first grade. So I got these off of Amazon. I'm gonna link them down in the description of this video, but they were just an extra help. We would do them every day. I would do like pick this one up, we would do this one. Oh, I have that order. And these were just like the short vowel word families, which are word endings. And then we would do, these were beginning blends, blends at the beginning of a word. They're consonant blends. And we would go over these, and then I pull this set up. These were long vowel sounds. And then I think there's some blends in here too. Suffixes are in here. Bossy R patterns are in here. And then some sounds that didn't quite follow the rules that she needed to know. And the same with this one, it just went over some more consonant blends, ones that didn't quite follow the rules that she just needed to know. So we would do these every single day to give her just a little extra help with her phonics skills. Like I said, this course took us the most time, and I could have easily spent over an hour on this course, but I tried to shut it off over an hour. At the end of this year, she still is reading really slow. She's still sounding things out sound by sound. She is able to get through first grade level books. It just takes her some time. So I'll usually divide them in half, and we'll read the first half one day, the next half the next day. She loves biscuit books because they review the rules that she learned this year. It's just there's way fewer words in those books. And so whatever boosts her confidence is usually what I like to go with. However, I noticed that this summer that she's been reading off of menus. When we pull up to a fast food restaurant, she'll read off of the board. When we are traveling, she'll read off the signs, and she's like, oh my gosh, I just read that. And I said, oh my gosh, you did. So she is ready. Over the summer, she has finally gotten ready to start really reading, and I feel like she's going to take off for her second grade year. Someone once told me that if the child is not ready to read, it doesn't matter what you do, it's not going to happen. But when they are ready to read, like it could just take 2 weeks and they're going to be reading. So if your child is struggling and you're doing everything, you're teaching them everything, you're drilling it in their head over and over again, just don't get impatient. Take your time. Don't overwhelm them, because the time will come where they will be ready to read. It'll all click in their head and they will just take off. And I'm hoping that the second grade year coming up is her year. So would I recommend this course? Yes, absolutely. I felt like it covered everything, and it did it in such a fun, creative way I would have never been able to thought of on my own. I also love the writing skills that it is teaching her so early on. Those really clicked with her, and so I'm very grateful for that. So yes, we'll be using BJU Press for English next year as well. Next up is reading. And if you just watched my review of Phonics in English, then you know that we did away with the reading course probably about halfway through, because it was just all too much. I feel like the readers got a little too advanced for her and where she was at on her reading level at the time. So we just started reading the phonics readers and the Phonics in English course. But I'm still going to show you what this looks like. So here is the teacher's guide, part 1. Here are the contents. And this is just telling you everything that you'll need. So you'll need all the readers, A through F. Here's the teacher's editions. There is a teacher's toolkit CD-ROM. Oh, there is one. It's in the back. I didn't even know it was back there. Okay, and then here's the student work text. There are some BJ book links, Journey into Literature. So they have 3 books, Looking for Home, Buttercup Hill, and Once in Blueberry Dell. I've never done a book link before, but I heard that they'll have like some questions for them to answer, maybe some activities in the little packets that you get with these. I thought they were so cute, but we never got around to doing those. So it says to have your service word cards. We didn't even use those for the reading class. I guess you can if you want to do extra review, but I felt like Phonics and English was review enough for us. And of course I do have the sentence strips and pocket chart, but we did not use that for vocabulary words. So this just goes over how to use the teacher's guide. How to teach phonics. So the reading course also teaches phonics as well. And then I'm pretty sure when you get to second grade, that is all the phonics teaching that you're going to have, I think, is in your reading course, because then you don't have a phonics course, it just becomes English. And so your phonics is taught in reading, but I'll probably add a little extra in there for her so she is a little more behind as far as phonics and reading go. So here's your little suggested daily schedule you can use to get an idea of how much time you should probably be spending on each course. And this is the first lesson. So you say the blue part, they say the pink part. They have some phonics practice here. Here is what the child's work text sheet looks like. And these are the correct answers. Basically, you will read the reader with your child. If they need help, of course, you'll help them along the way. And then they just complete the work text page about the reader. That's based on what they just read. They have high frequency words over here for you to review. We did all the review for that in Phonics and English class, but this is, I guess, just an extra review. And so they'll have them read this one page and they'll ask them all these questions about it. They'll have them read this one page. They'll ask them all these questions about it. So I didn't feel that I specifically needed the teacher's guide because I was already doing the phonics review, the word family reviews, the service word reviews in Phonics and English, and I felt like I could ask them questions about what they just read all on my own. Once I got an idea of what they were asking, I could have did that on my own. So do I feel like the teacher's guide is crucial for BJU Press Reading 1? No, and to be honest, I hardly ever used it. And don't worry about not knowing what pages to read for each work text page, because each work text page will have the pages that you're supposed to read that go along with that page. So you do not need the teacher's guide to tell you what pages go with which worksheet, because it's all written on the worksheets for you. Here's the teacher's edition part 2. It's going to be the same thing. So you're going to have the exact same stuff in the beginning of the book that you had in part 1. And it's going to do basically the same thing. They're going to show you the page as they read it, and then you ask these questions in blue, and then the pink is supposed to be their answers. And it's the same way all throughout. So you do not need this teacher's guide unless you just absolutely want it. And there's not really any resources I feel that would be pertinent for you to purchase this. So just know that you don't really need this teacher's guide for reading 1 unless you just absolutely want it. Here are the readers that you'll be reading throughout the year. I want to show you how it starts. So let's see. Here's the first story called The Millers. And you'll see how easy it is. There's only 3 sentences on both of these pages altogether. And so it's real simple. Okay, so that was all of this story. So it was short and sweet, real simple. All these stories in the first book I felt were really simple. They weren't too wordy. My daughter liked them a lot. Okay, so when we got to D, I think, you can see how it changes pretty quickly. There are a lot of words on these pages, and she would have to read, let me see. She would read about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe around 4 to, I would say about 6 of these pages before she would do her work text page. And it was just too wordy for her because she was still sounding these words out really slow, and it would take her a long time to get through her reading assignment. So I would start reading a paragraph and then let her read the next paragraph, and then I would read a paragraph, she'd read the next paragraph to get us through these. But I could tell her confidence was going down, so that's when I switched her to those short little phonics books. And then this is F, just to show you what it's going to be like towards the end of this reading course. So there are quite a bit of words in this reader. And if your child is reading well at this point, then these are great. But my daughter is not anywhere near ready for reading this many words at one time. This is what the work textbook looks like. So I was going to show you, she's already completed the first part of this book. So I guess we stopped using the reading course on lesson 59. And this is what it looks like. You can see down here it says, it tells you the story that you're going to be reading from. It tells you the pages that you're going to read before you do this worksheet. And you do front and back. And then over here, same thing. It'll tell you the story you're reading, the pages you're reading. So you do not need to have the teacher's guide for this course, and that might be a way to save you some money if you're on a budget. But I did like how it had some fun stuff still for as far as coloring. It had cut and paste on some of these pages, which in first grade, they're still very much wanting to do cut, paste, color, paint, all that stuff. So I didn't want that to completely go away in first grade. So even though there's a lot of fill in the blanks and what my daughter would call boring stuff, they still have, you know, some cut and paste and, you know, drawing in here to make it more fun and engaging for the child. So would I recommend this reading course? I would totally recommend it if your child is more on the advanced side. If they're not, what I wish I would have done is just purchased some early readers and just read through those books a little every day. I think that she would have enjoyed that a lot more. It would have built her confidence. You know, and as she advanced, then advance the readers and make it more customizable to her learning style. So we are going to use BJU Press for reading next year. I am doing reading too. I'm a little nervous about it. We'll see how it goes. But I'm hoping she'll just take off with it this year. If she doesn't, I'm probably going to do where I read a paragraph, she reads the next paragraph, and I kind of help her get through it. But if I see it's not going well, then I will definitely pump the brakes on it, and we'll do something different that helps boost her confidence and her love for reading, because that's the most important thing for me. Is I don't want her to just know how to do it. I want her to really enjoy doing it. These stories were really cute and fun though. So moving on to science. What I did with science and heritage study, which is a social studies course, is I would alternate science one week, the next week we would do heritage studies, the next week science, because my son said that's how they do it in public school, and I thought it was a good idea. She didn't really like flip-flopping between science and heritage studies every other day. That kind of got her a little confused. But doing one a week really worked. So this is the contents of the science textbook. And it's really colorful and it's really cute. And there's not a lot of reading. I will say, however, that by the time we had finished the core subjects, she was tired, I was tired. if I saw something in here that I thought she absolutely needed to know, we went over the 5 senses. If I found something cute or fun in here, we would go over it. However, most of the time, we did not do science or heritage studies. Like, this is as far as we got. So, you know, you've got to do what you got to do. You got to listen to your child, see what they're needing most of. If it's the core curriculum they're having a hard time with, then it does make sense to cut out extra things that they can work on learning later on in years. But I thought this was a really gentle science curriculum, which I really like. I think next year they're going to have a little activity or experiment to do once a week. So there was fill in the blank stuff, there was some writing, and let's see if I can show you where they had a little activity to do. Okay, so here's an activity practicing using a ruler, measuring cup, a balancing scale, a thermometer. They have a little investigation where they have a problem, a hypothesis, and the materials they're going to use, the procedure. Looks like they're doing something with ice and water. Let's see. Oh, they have Bible verses, which I thought was really cool. I actually used these. Even though she had a separate Bible curriculum, I would pull these out and just do one a week, and that whole week we would focus on these Bible verses and try to learn them, and I thought that was really neat. Okay, and here is a cut and paste, which is her favorite. Cut, paste, color, paint, all those are her favorite things. So I loved that they had some cut and paste in here. And we never did the study guides. We never did the test. I just pretty much kept it fun for her. Like this looks fun, where they cut all these out, they paste them over here, what goes on in summer, what goes on in fall. That's cute, that's fun. Something to keep it fun and enjoyable. I feel like science and history should be fun and enjoyable. Those should be the ones that you get the most creative with. Okay, so that's science. For heritage studies, which they call family and community, this is basically a social studies book. We did the same thing with this. So we would alternate this with science every other week. I loved the pictures in this book. I thought they were really pretty. I thought it was exciting. My daughter, not so much. Once she got done with Phonics and English, she was pretty much done. Now, this starts out with Adam and Eve. It goes through creation, the fall, redemption. This is talking about the family structures, talking about community. It gives some background on some cultures. So talking about landmarks, shores. Okay, then it gets into community. Talking about, let's see, these are farmers. I haven't really looked through all this. Going over school, government. Here's some jobs that people do. This is going over biographies. Oh, this is cute. What is this? Okay, this is a little story called Town Mouse, Country Mouse. I guess it shows you the difference between country communities and city communities. Land and water, finding places, goes over the continents, goes over the oceans. Lewis and Clark expedition, weather. We should have did the weather because oh, we did do this. We did the water cycle with my son. But that's in here as well, which is really important because they learned about that. We're still learning about it in 5th grade with my son. Oh, talking about John Henry. Our history. Oh, they have the Pony Express. Abraham Lincoln. Explorers. George Whitefield. Okay, so that's all of that. I almost wish we could just keep this and do it this year, but I moved on to 2nd grade. Okay, so here is the activities book. We did not do the study guides or any of the tests. Here are some of the activities that they did that went along with the textbook's pages. A lot of it is just where you're writing in the answers, fill in the blank type thing. I wish they would have did more cut and paste, coloring, drawing type thing, because I feel like in 1st grade they're still very much into doing hands-on things and being creative. Here we go, where they get to draw a map. A water cycle. Here's a cut and paste. So they would just cut this out and paste it over here. It says ways to save and use resources. Interesting. Okay, so that's Heritage Studies. So would I use it again? I honestly don't think I would, just because I feel like it was a little too much for 1st grade. But again, if your child's very advanced and have the patience, then this would be great for them. I think that if I did it over again, I would have made time in the morning just for me to read a little bit out of the textbook, maybe during breakfast time, and then not did any of the activities, because fill in the blank, extra writing, all of that kind of discouraged her a little bit. So I would have just did the textbook alone, showed her the pretty pictures, and then if I felt like we should do an activity with it, then I would have printed something off that was artsy, that maybe she could color or paint, that went along with what we were learning in the textbook. I also want to add that the reason you're not seeing teacher's guides for these courses is because I purchased the video lessons online for these 2 courses. And it was a combination deal where I think you got a discount if you purchased them together. We did start out watching the videos. I loved them. I thought they were exciting. They were colorful. They were fun. The teachers were awesome. My daughter did not want anything to do with them. She would cry when I turned them on. So we did not do the videos. Do I think you need a teacher's guide for this? Probably not. I feel like just reading the textbooks to them would probably be good enough. Maybe verbally asking them some questions about what they had learned at this age. I feel like that probably would have been enough for them. For extra stuff that I added to the curriculum was painting, because she loves to paint, and I found these cute little books on Amazon. Most of them have already been used, but this is one that still had a couple pages in it for me to show you. So this is actually paint. All she does is she gets her paintbrush, she puts it in a little bit of water, and she swirls it around on this little rectangle, and it turns into paint. And then she just paints like this is number 1, so she paints these 1 spaces red, and so on. So she would look forward to this. This encouraged her to get her schoolwork done so that she could get to art, which is her absolute favorite. So this year I'll be looking for an art class again, and if there's one that your child loved, specifically with crafts, if you could recommend that in the comments, I would really appreciate that. Thank y'all so much for watching. Now I'm going to let my daughter tell y'all a little bit about how she enjoyed first grade.
Huh?
How did you like math?
What's math?
1 plus 1?
Yeah.
5 plus 5?
5 plus 5 is 10.
Did you like learning about stuff?
A little bit, but not that much.
How did you like learning about how to read?
I read a whole biscuit book with Daddy.
Yes, you read good at the biscuit books.
I only missed like 2 words or 3.
Tell them what you like the most.
If there was art, yeah, I would like it if there was art.
You just like the art?
Yeah, I like running and jumping on the bed.
Yeah, you like Splash, where we learned the high frequency words, splash words?
Yeah, I like jumping on the bed.
What else did you like?
That's all.
That's all you like? Okay. Well,
Owie.
be sure and follow along for more homeschool videos that I'll be uploading soon. See y'all in the next video. Bye.
Okay, good.